Hello, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. This is my first time going live on YouTube. I think I've gone live on every single platform except for YouTube. So this is exciting. Oh, yay, you entered A Real Kitchen. Okay, I know I've watched your videos, A Real Kitchen, but let me know in the chat what your name is so I'm not calling you A Real Kitchen. And thank you for being here. This is my new YouTube channel. Just started this year. We are just like a few weeks in. Peggy, that's right, Peggy. Thank you, Peggy. We're just a few weeks into my brand new YouTube channel, and the whole reason to do this YouTube Live is one, to offer you a free training, and two, to ask you to subscribe to my channel because it is brand new. So that's why I wanted to do this live training on YouTube so everybody could come here. And then three, to give away my online course, which is called the Media Mentoring Program, and it will help you pitch the media to earn publicity and turn that publicity into profit and everything in between. Hi, Smita. Thank you so much, Peggy, for loving my content. I post new content every Thursday, so please subscribe to this channel to get some more of that. And this is going to be a super low-key, laid-back training. I'm not going to share my screen. I'm not going to show you slides. I'm just going to talk to you here and talk to you in the chat. So first, I want to know in the comments what you do and where you're located. Because as I go through this training and teach you how to get publicity and how to write a press release, which isn't really a press release, that will lead to training. I'll explain what that means in a second. It's good for me to know what you do and where you live, so I can go back to the comments and give you specific examples and give you like one-on-one laser coaching and laser training. So I can use you as an example and not just a previous client or one of the clients in my program. So A Real Kitchen is a cooking channel, and you're in San Diego. Okay, awesome. I'm going to San Diego in March to meet with my mastermind. I love that, Peggy. You're struggling with finding your particular niche, but you think you'll do mostly healthy cooking. I like that. Hi, Eli. Yes, I know you. You are a realtor in Charlotte. I know that. Okay, so Charlotte's good. Like, your business is specific to Charlotte. Peggy, you're in San Diego, which is great. I've had a client in San Diego earn coverage locally, but you can work with people everywhere. Tell me like what you do to make money, Peggy. Like, what's the end goal? Do you have a cookbook that you're trying to sell? Give me a little bit more. Orange County, awesome. Hi, Jill. The OC, it makes me think of The Real Housewives and Dirty John. I just binged Dirty John on Bravo. It's crazy. Okay, so you want brand and sponsor deals. Okay, so Peggy, you're trying to grow as like an influencer, like a healthy cooking influencer. Got it. Yes, Dirty John is freaky. I'm actually starting karate lessons tonight because now I'm afraid of like sociopaths after watching that. Okay. I'm going to stop looking in the chat for a minute because now we're digressing on things like the Housewives and Dirty John. But let's get into the free training so you can start earning publicity, not just on your platforms, because yes, you want to grow. You want to have a great presence on your own platforms, but you also want other people to feature you. So A, you can be introduced to a brand new audience, and B, you can just get that authority and credibility because it's not you telling everybody how great you are. It's somebody else telling everybody how great you are. And that makes a big difference. Smita, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how you say that. You're a blogger and you want to create a YouTube channel. What's your niche in blogging? Like, what do you want to be known for? What's your expertise? Let me know in the comments. And that's okay if you're in India because the best coverage to get is online because everybody sees it. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I will be keeping my eye on the chat so I can reference a few of you as we go through this training. And then I also, if you haven't entered yet, to win my free course, I am going to put the link right there in the chat. And then at the end, after Q&A, I will actually draw the winner live and then give you instant access so you could get in there today. So let's get into the training. And I want to know specifically what you want to learn about when it comes to earning media. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk to you about today, and you let me know if this is like up your alley or what you want to learn about. Like Peggy, you're saying local news coverage, but you feel like you're not big enough yet. Oh, don't worry, honey. That doesn't matter. Oh, hi, South Florida here. Hi, clean hair. Yes, the lice expert. Okay, perfect. Okay, you all are talking about earning coverage in your area, which I love. But do you want TV? Do you want newspapers? Do you want magazines? Yes, Jackie, I remember you. Let me know specifically where, because I'm going to focus on TV for today, and let me know if you like the idea of TV. TV is my background. I was a reporter and anchor for 10 years. So TV, hi, Monica. Local news coverage. Hi, Shelly. How are you? TV. Okay, great. So you guys are liking TV. Okay, good. I'm going to go with TV because that's my background. And I side hustle. There's a lot of overlap between what I do and blogging. So I say I side hustle as a local lifestyle blogger, and I have regular segments on the local NBC station. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, I love that y'all are down with the TV thing. So this is awesome. And I'm going to start by busting a myth, which Peggy, you said, I would love to get local news coverage, but I feel like I'm not big enough yet. Only 200 subscribers, less than 200 on Instagram. It does not matter. Like when it comes to earning coverage on TV, a producer does not care about your social media numbers or any of that. It doesn't matter. What they care about is your expertise. I mean, obviously, it helps if you have this huge social media following or a big engaged social media following. But let me tell you, I have gotten people on Rachel Ray who had no social media presence. I've gotten people on the Today Show who not only did they have no social media presence, but they weren't even making any money in their business. It was a side hustle. It was a startup, and they were like in debt. And I got them on the Today Show. So I just want to crush the myth that you have to be a big brand or you have to have lots of money to get on TV, because you don't. You literally just have to give the producer what they want to fill time on TV, and that's it. So I'm going to tell you how to do that, but I just want to get you out of the mindset that you're not a big enough deal for TV, because if you have something that they want, then you're a big enough deal for TV. And Peggy, I've seen your videos. Jackie, I know what you do. I know what you do. Marissa, performing artist, thought leader. All of you. Shelly, I know what you guys do. Like, you have an expertise that is good for TV. So I'm going to use an example. And I talked about this example in my last YouTube video when I talked about niching down to get coverage. And then I mentioned that client that I got on the Today Show. So they reached out to me because they had an app. It was a running app. And it was like Eli, if you're in Charlotte and I'm here in South Florida, we can race against each other with this virtual app, right? They hired a publicist to pitch the app and to get coverage for the app. But the publicist was terrible, as most are. I know, I was on the receiving end of many pitches when I was on TV. Most are bad. And this publicist was pitching the app like, hey, look, here's our fitness app. Here's our running app. You should cover it. Well, there's a million trillion fitness apps out there. So why would they cover it? It didn't work. So instead, what I did is I looked at the two guys who created the app. One was a personal trainer, and then the other one used to be 400 pounds. And then he lost half his body weight, and he's 200 pounds, and he's fit now. So instead of promoting the app, I promoted those guys as experts in their industry. I got the personal trainer quoted in a variety of outlets as an expert in his industry. And then I told the story of the other guy who lost half of his body weight running. He saw a need in the marketplace for what he did and what he created. And that's why it exists. So the first thing we did is we started local, which you guys are talking about local coverage, which is good. So we started local and we got them on TV in Washington, D.C., because that's where they were. Now, Washington, D.C. is a big market. I think it's the 9th or 10th biggest market in the country. So that is a pretty big market, pretty good coverage to get in Washington, D.C. So we did that, and that led to more coverage. And that's just how that works. So from there, they got coverage on the Washington Post, because the writer at the Washington Post saw that coverage on local TV, and then somebody at the Today Show saw the coverage on the Washington Post. So this is also something that's important to know, is that after you get coverage anywhere, whether it be a small podcast interview, or maybe it's a YouTube collaboration on somebody's channel, you want to be sharing that. You want to be tagging the outlet. You want to be tagging the journalist or tagging the influencer over and over again. because social media is a constantly moving feed. So don't just post it once and call it a day. Because if somebody's not on social media for a few hours, they're going to miss it. And that's how we kind of snowballed one publicity hit into another publicity hit. So they got on the Today Show, and that really wasn't their goal, even though they're reaching millions of people. Their goal was Runner's World because it's much more niched. That's the video that I released last week talking about the differences between publicity. And that eventually led to Runner's World, because if they're on the Today Show, then Runner's World says, oh, okay, well, then they must be legitimate. We'll put them in our magazine. So let me tell you why this is important to earn all of this coverage. If you pay for something like that, if you paid for coverage in Washington, D.C., or in the Washington Post, or on the Today Show, it's going to cost you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not only that, it's only going to last a short period of time because it's an advertisement. So it's like one and done. If you go to search for it online, it's not going to be there because it's an advertisement. If you want it there forever, you have to pay for it forever. So that's one reason you don't want to pay for ads. Two reasons you don't want to pay for ads. And organic traffic is great, like us creating our own content and putting our content out there. That's what we all do on YouTube and on our blog and all of that. But that's still us telling everybody about us. I'm only reaching my audience. I'm not reaching anybody new. So you want to get on somebody else's platform to reach more people and to have that extra authority and credibility. So that's where earned media comes from. It's like in between your own media and paid media. And that's why it's worth so much. It's worth so much more than an advertisement because of that authority and credibility place that it comes from. So how do you get this? Okay, I'm going to break down how we get it right now. But first, I want to know if there are any comments, any questions so far, because I want to make sure you guys understand what earned media is and pitching the media. It's not your own. It's not on your own platforms. Yes, you put it on your own platform after it happens, but that's not necessarily where it starts, and we're not paying for anything. Everybody thinks if you're going to be on these big platforms, you have to pay for coverage. We're not paying for it. We're actually earning that place there. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions before I tell you how you actually do this. Okay, awesome. Okay, Smita, you're saying you're not good now because you're just starting, so you can't think of TV. What do you mean you're not good? Like, what are you starting at? You're probably starting at something you know about. And yes, Peggy, you should start local. I know a lot of producers in San Diego that I could introduce you to. Let me see. Jill, you own a social media marketing agency. Oh, you heard me on Smart Passive Income. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, I mastermind with Pat Flynn now. So I'm actually going to San Diego in a few weeks to see him. Okay, perfect. So no questions. All right. So let's talk about how you actually get this coverage. Okay, I'm going to title this video when I'm done with the Q&A, how to write a press release. No, Peggy, I'm not going to Social Media Marketing World. I actually get there the day it ends. How to write a press release. And I title it this way because that's literally what people ask me. I get a message almost every day on LinkedIn of people asking me to write a press release for them. And I'm like, no. Like, stop asking me to write a press release because they don't work. And let me tell you why. I was watching, I'm not digressing, I swear I'm making a point. On Netflix, I was watching the secret tapes of Ted Bundy, or whatever it is, the conversations with Ted Bundy. And they were, talking about his life and everything he did. And they're doing an interview with one of the police officers or police chiefs in the 70s. And he used the word press release. And he talked about, whatever they were doing, sending out a press release to let everybody know what was happening. Okay, the fact that they're using the word press release in the 70s and they're talking about press releases in the 70s, and now we're in 2019, it doesn't work like that anymore, people. Like, the media industry has changed a whole hell of a lot since the 70s. So to think that a press release is still the way that you get coverage is just crazy to me. And everybody always goes to the press release idea. I can tell you all of the coverage that I get my clients, it's from an email that is no more than 5 sentences long. One of you, I'm sorry, let me scroll up. Jill, you heard me on Smart Passive Income. I got on that podcast a few years ago. When I first pitched Pat, it was with a video. It was a 2-minute video. And I did that to stand out because everybody else was emailing him. And then I uploaded that video to YouTube and I saw I didn't have any views on it. So I followed up, and my follow-up was literally 2 sentences. Something like, I see you haven't viewed it. Here's the link. Something like that. And then I got on his podcast, and then he invited me back almost 2 years later. And now I'm in a mastermind working with him. So stop writing press releases. Now, would you like to hear what you do instead of writing press releases? Now that we've squashed that, let me know in the comments. Thank you, Shelly. Smita, so what do you do? I know your blog is new, but what is your blog going to be about? Like, what topic are you going to be writing about? It doesn't matter if your blog's new or old. It's your expertise. Georgette, how would you go about being on niche TV such as RHTV? Georgette, tell me what RHTV is. I don't know what RHTV is. Oh, outsourcing angel. Oh, that's Lynn, I think. Lynn, yes, you should totally be getting media. I have a media mentoring client based in Australia who was in my programs, and she got lots of coverage in Australia. I think the big one she got was a show called The Project, which I think in the United States is like our Entertainment Tonight or something. Okay, how to get your idea out in 5 sentences. Okay, Shelly, I will tell you. You want to be outside. You want to be seen outside Charlotte, Eli, to people who want to move to Charlotte. Okay, so Eli, I would still focus on Charlotte media because there's lots of people who move around in the same city, but I think we could set you up as a real estate expert. So you're seen in all of those other places. For example, you're probably familiar with Inman. I wrote for Inman for a short period of time. I got another real estate agent friend of mine to be a contributor to Inman. So I think something like that would be good for you. It'd be really good for the trades. And I know lots of real estate agents, you guys kind of work with each other. So it would be good for the trades and good for people who are just searching for you to come up and search. Smita, your blog is for busy moms. Vegetarian cooking. Okay, that's good. So that's your expertise, vegetarian cooking. You're trying to stand out, not sure about cooking or baking, and you're a mom of twins. Okay, got it. Peggy, actually, the client that's in my mentoring program, I got her on TV and morning TV in San Diego, and she was packing lunches for kids. This was in September, so we used the back to school angle, which I'll explain in just a second. And she was getting coverage for, things to pack in a lunchbox for picky eaters. So they come back home with an empty lunchbox and a full belly. So ideas like that could be good for you if you want to focus on the health angle. Same for you, Smita. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Peggy. Yeah, I'm glad you like that. She actually pitched the TV station on Monday, and then she was there Wednesday morning. So you can literally get this in like 3 days. Okay, so let's talk about how to get this coverage. In my program, I actually give you the exact pitches word for word, but I'm going to break down how you can actually get that coverage. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, click that bell, and then enter to win the giveaway to get you into my course. Right now, I'm going to share the link right now, right there, so you can get in. Oh, Georgette. Okay, horse TV. Oh, Georgette, I've seen you before. I know, like you deal with horses. I live in Wellington, Florida, which is like a huge horse community. Really, to get any coverage like this, you just have to be the expert. You have to establish yourself as an expert. So step 1, I actually don't have this on my notes, but it's important to know since y'all are on social media right now, you're on YouTube talking to me. You want to make sure that your website or your social media, whatever your home base is online, looks good. Because I'll tell you a story of why this is important. I had a client who was this close to getting on Good Morning America. And for months I was telling her, like, your website, we should like clean it up. We should make it look a little bit more polished. And she didn't want to spend the time or money to do it, which was a shame because Good Morning America at the last minute, they said, we cannot put this person on our air. It's not going to work. We went to her website and it just didn't look good. So if we put her on our air and then people go to her website, that's a bad reflection of us. So we can't do it. She actually lost the media coverage on Good Morning America, which could be like life-changing because her website didn't look good. So the first thing a journalist or an editor or a booker is going to do is they're going to look you up. So does your website, like Peggy, if we're going to talk about healthy eating, does your website show you as an expert in healthy eating? If we're going to talk about real estate, Eli, and we go to your website or we go to your Facebook page or wherever your home base is, if it doesn't showcase your expertise in real estate, then it's probably not going to work. So you just want to make sure that everything is set up to convert. So when people do search you and they're thinking about using you as a source for a story, like your actions, your presence online, your digital footprint shows them that you are who you say you are and you're somebody worthy of coverage. So that's step one. Now we can get into the pitch. Okay. Oh, Georgette, you don't do horse things? Heritage, not horse. Oh, but agricultural, so a little bit. Okay. Okay, first thing about your pitch. Like, don't make it longer than 10 sentences. Like 10 sentences at the max. You want to learn what you want to say. Short, sweet, and to the point. Like, learn how to do that. And I know it's hard because you have so much expertise and you have so much to say. But if I showed you the inbox of a journalist, they get hundreds of emails a day. So your subject line better be to the point and it better be attention grabbing. And when they open up that email, they want you to get to the point quickly because they don't have time for anything else. This is another reason why press releases don't work, because they are long and boring and nobody has time for that. So you want to make it short. Okay, so what should go in that pitch? I'm just going to give you 3 tips. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today, just like your pitch should be. Tip number 1, make it timely. You need to give the media a reason to do this story right now. I gave you the example of packing lunches for back to school. That happened in August or September, back to school time. Eli, in your industry, which is the real estate industry, there is always news breaking about real estate, whether it be the markets, like everybody's like the housing prices, at least in South Florida, they're really high. So like, does that mean a crash is coming soon? There's just always real estate news happening. So whenever a new study is released or new data is released, like you should piggyback off of that and use your expertise to explain it further. Contact the local money writers or business writers, or if you end up with a column in Inman, you could build on that because that's a topic that people are already searching. So you want to do something that is timely. What are some other ones? We have food. Okay, so food. Again, like we're coming up on Valentine's Day, like easy, healthy things to cook for your loved one at home. With food, you always want to tie it around to a specific day. For my agency, we have a lot of local restaurant clients. And July 14th, I know all of these silly days for this reason. July 14th is National Mac and Cheese Day. And I have a client that is I Heart Mac and Cheese. It's like a Chipotle for mac and cheese and grilled cheese. And on National Mac and Cheese Day, I have them doing cooking segments on local news. And literally that night at one of their locations, they ran out of food because they were so busy. I've had my Mexican restaurants do segments on Taco Tuesday, which is great because you pick any Tuesday out of the year. There's a National Tequila Day, which is July something or June something. I forget. But there's National Tequila Day. I had them doing a segment on that. And not just TV segments, but also like the local newspapers. They have food writers and they have entertainment writers. So it's like 5 tequilas to try on National Tequila Day. Pie Day, 3.14, March 14th. I had an Italian restaurant on TV for National Pie Day because they made pizza pies. So like when it comes to anything food, because I know there's a few foodies in here, like that, those days are going to be like money for you. Okay, Jackie, lice. Jackie deals with lice. Okay, this is all family and kids and moms. So you're in a great industry because everybody markets to moms because moms make the buying decisions. So you're going to be all about the moms, especially during school. And then I'm not that familiar with lice, honestly. I guess, thank goodness. So the only thing that like I can think of off the top of my head is back to school. I know I hosted a segment on Lifetime TV, and it was a back to school segment, and we had some lice experts on there. It was on the Balancing Act on Lifetime. So I'm thinking kids for you. This is something where you're going to have to rely on your expertise. Like what else can we relate lice to? Like, is it an animal thing? Do pets get this? How do pets get this? And then how can you relate it to something that's timely if it is pets or something? Georgette, for horses. I mean, I know I live in Wellington, and there's, like a season, I think it's like a polo season from November to April or something like that. I don't participate. I just live here. Anything you can do to, camps. There you go, Jackie. Camps in the summer. So anything you can do to make your pitch timely. How can you make your expertise timely? That's going to be number one. Let's see. You got that? Any questions about being timely? Look at those awareness days, like the National Mac and Cheese Days. Look at what's happening in the news and try to piggyback off of what's already happening in the news. That's a big thing. People call that newsjacking, but I say if people are already talking about the topic, then why not offer your expertise and give journalists another angle to use? How much before the National Day pitch should you pitch? Okay, that's a great question. Sorry, I'm kicking you guys and I'm shaking. That's a great question. Okay, so Peggy, for TV, I suggest like 2 weeks out. And for TV coverage, like for a segment like this, you're going to be doing the weekend mornings, the weekday afternoons. You're not going to leave the newscast at 6 p.m. So for TV, a couple weeks. I mean, I would do the same for online and print, just because that's like a set day. It's not breaking news. It's something that people can kind of plan in advance. So a couple of weeks. If you want to be in a print publication, everybody talks about Oprah's favorite things. Yes, Shelly, of course in the US. This works everywhere, for sure. US, Canada, everywhere. So people are always talking about being in Oprah's magazine. If you have a product, everybody wants to be in Oprah's magazine. To give you an idea of how far in advance those glossy magazines work, by July and August, Oprah's got all her things for the magazine that comes out in November and December. So for those, you need to be at least 3 months out. So you need to be looking at a calendar and planning. This is good for not just planning your own content, but planning your pitching. So if you're planning YouTube videos, or if you're planning, your blog post, whatever it is, looking at that calendar will give you an idea of what to plan. And then it'll also give you a great idea of what to pitch, because that's what's going to be newsworthy at that time. That's what people are going to be searching, or that's what people are going to be covering. So great question. Shelly, I answered your question. Yes, this works everywhere. The US, Australia, Canada. My Australian client, she made snow globes. Her business is the coolest. Custom made snow globes that you could like personalize. So she did one for the movie La La Land, and she got great national coverage for it in Australia because she was talking about it around the time that the movie was released. Do you have a list of how to find the people to pitch at all of these outlets, or how to find it? Okay, great question. Scott, you're asking if there's a list of these special days. Okay, let me get those two questions before I move on. How to find the people. Okay, yes, I do have software that I can find. Something that I do offer in my media mentoring program is I give you the contact information of everybody you need, so you don't have to do anything. That's in the VIP version. But you can find it easily in a couple of ways. I'll give you 3. One is Twitter. So many journalists are on Twitter. Twitter is like the platform for like breaking news, right? Like when you want to know what's going on, you go on Twitter. And that's why a lot of journalists are on there. So look for them on Twitter. You can look for them by name. You can look for them by outlet. Like if you want a Forbes writer, just type in Forbes and see what pops up, because it's usually in the person's bio. Another way is to honestly go to the outlet, go to the TV station, wherever, and go to the contact page. And a lot of times it's in there. Most of the time, sometimes you're going to get the generic email like assignmentdesk@nbc.com. That's fine. Email them, but also call them and say, hey, I know you bring in guests on the 11 a.m. show. Who do I send an email to pitch a guest for the 11 a.m. show? But the contact section of websites, especially with like newspapers and magazines, sometimes they list every single writer. And if you can pick up a magazine or newspaper and turn to the first page, it lists all of their information. And then lastly, you can go to that outlet online. Maybe just Google what you want coverage for. So like real estate in Charlotte, Eli, you could Google that and see what comes up. And then you could literally like click on the article and see who writes it. And usually that person's name is hyperlinked either to their Twitter or their email or their bio page on the website. So there's a few different ways you can find that information. And then do I have contacts and connections in Australia? With the software that I have, I can pull contacts worldwide. So I could find that information. But if you're not, working with me or somebody who can do that, then I think Twitter and then the outlet's websites are great resources for you. And Scott, you're asking if there's a list for those special days. Yes. You could Google something like awareness days, like food awareness days is a big one, or national awareness days. I had a client who actually created her own awareness week. So you could even create your own day. There is like a process where you could do that. Okay, Shelly, you're asking, would the Canadian food plan be affordable or newsworthy in the US? Okay, probably not. And that's just because I'm married to a Canadian, so I know a little bit about Canada. The pricing is so different. The cost of living is so different. You guys have different taxes than us. So I know even like with beer, for example, like the beer in Canada that is brewed and made in Canada is like 3 times the cost of that same beer down here, even though it's shipped internationally. So I think when we talk about food pricing in Canada versus the US, it's just going to be irrelevant. Let me know if I'm understanding your question correctly. You're welcome. Yeah, okay, so Peggy Googled National Food Days, and you are amazed at how many there are. Yeah, there are tons of food days. So I know there's a couple of like bakers and cookers in here. Those food days, it's great, again, not just for pitching the media, but for creating a content calendar. Okay, so we got timeliness. Okay, I have 2 more that I want to talk about, and then we will do the giveaway and get somebody in the online course. Okay, so the second thing you want to include in your short and timely pitch after you make it timely is you want to have the right angle. And this is like the biggest mistake people make. Like their angle is always so overly promotional. Like they write a big long press release like they did in the 70s, okay? And then they say in the press release all about themselves and why they're great. And it's like, what is the story? Why should I do that story? Like their angle is terrible. So let me give you an example of how you can have different angles for different things. You are always going to have 2 angles no matter what. Your product or service is going to be some kind of angle, and then your expertise. So for example, I mentioned I had a client on the Rachel Ray Show, and that was this client. He created a baby product. So I got his baby product on the Rachel Ray Show, and a mom was like testing it. They have this segment called Human Lab where moms test things, and a mom was testing one of his products. So that's pretty good coverage because that's pretty promotional, right? Like it is a direct, like here, I'm using this product and I'm testing it and this is what it is. So that's that. The guy who created it, he's an expert in starting a business and creating a product-based business, right? Because that's what he did. So I got him coverage in Entrepreneur around Father's Day because I was timely around Father's Day for being a dadpreneur. A stay-at-home dad created a baby product. That's a pretty cool story. It's timely because it's Father's Day, and you don't hear A, of stay-at-home dads a lot, and B, a stay-at-home dad who creates a baby product. So that's how that happened. Those are 2 different angles. One's the product and one's the person's expertise. So that is, Smita, thank you. You're so sweet in the comments. So Eli, an example for you would be, I know like down here in South Florida, like when a mansion on the beach or on an island goes on the market, like the big story is the mansion and going inside and taking the pretty pictures, like that's why MTV Cribs was a thing. So you have the actual product, and then you have your service, which is what I was talking to you about earlier, like promoting yourself as an expert in your industry and just being super knowledgeable. Like, I don't know anything about real estate, but I do want an investment property. Like whenever these houses aren't so damn expensive and the prices go down, but I don't know anything about real estate, but I would read articles that you would write for people like me. That's your expertise. So you're always going to have 2 different angles. One is your expertise, and then one is your product or service, if that makes sense. Peggy, I have sample pitches in my media mentoring program. I may have some, I actually do. I have a free 3-day video course where I actually, it would be perfect for you, Peggy, now that I think of it. I share the exact pitch word for word on how I got the dietitian TV coverage in San Diego. So it would be perfect for you. You can get that here. I'll type it in the chat. In my free 3-day course, it's mediamavenandmore.com/publicity. And on day one, when I talk to you about pitching, that's what we go through. And what we did, her name was Crystal. She's in the VIP version, so she worked one-on-one with me. She would write the pitch and send it to me, and I would tweak it and then send it back to her. And then again, she sent that pitch on a Monday, and then Wednesday morning she was on TV. She was all freaked out because it happened so fast. Great question, Georgette. Do you take anything when you're going on TV or send papers or a blog? Okay, so for TV, her pitch was back to school lunches for a picky eater. And this is TV, right? So we have to be visual. So I told her, and this is also in that free 3-day course, so you can get that information there too. She had to have a table of all of those lunches, everything she was talking about, like putting the fruit on skewers to make them colorful and fun, and packaging things this way in fun, colorful containers. Like, you have to show everything you are talking about on TV. It has to be entertaining. And you'll notice in the pitch, if you take that 3-day media class, in the pitch, we tell the producer that we are going to bring everything to make it pretty. So like Eli, in your case, you could send pretty pictures. Like, you can't obviously bring a house in. So you could send pretty pictures, and then they'll just put the full screen of the picture over. They just want to know that you have something, and you're basically handing them everything they need on a silver platter. Journalists are so overworked and underpaid that if you can just help them do their job, they will book you and invite you to come back over and over and over again. Okay. Shelly, you said that you sent a pitch 2 weeks ago. You got a lot of back and forth, which is great. It's great to get back and forth. It didn't end up working out, but it was exciting. Your angle was giving away your book to government workers affected by the shutdown. Okay, yeah, we talked about this, I think, in a Facebook group, Shelly. Okay, that's great, and it's timely. They want to interview one of your government worker readers affected by the shutdown, but no one could be interviewed for privacy reasons. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, because they always want a real person. Because if you go in, so like Eli, if we're talking about real estate, you go in as a real estate agent, the buyer makes the story more fun and more entertaining, or the seller makes the story more fun and more entertaining. With a food angle, who are you cooking for? Like, we want to see their reaction. We want to see them eating. So it makes sense because, Shelly, you're doing this great thing. You have this book, but who's the real person? We want that emotion. They always want some kind of emotion in the story. And that person who was affected by the shutdown would have been that emotional element. I would have suggested finding somebody and making them anonymous. I mean, I've done many stories where I'm interviewing somebody and I'm only showing their hands and I'm disguising their voice. So there is a way to get stories done like that. And the fact that there was back and forth shows that they were interested. So that's really good. What are my thoughts on Harrow and Source Bottle? Okay, Peggy, great question. I wrote an article about how Harrow has really sucked lately, and it got picked up by Muck Rack. And I just recorded a video that you'll see in a couple weeks here on my YouTube channel about Harrow and how to use it. Good and bad. It's great because the media comes to you. Bad because anybody can post anything on there. Many times it's bloggers looking for free product for you to send them. Sometimes people use Harrow to search for advertisers. They'll post something and then you'll respond, and then they'll respond back to you and say, okay, if you want that coverage, it's going to cost you, and they try to sell you advertising. It's just not regulated, and it's kind of turned into the wild, wild west. However, you can still get a lot of great, you can still get a lot of great publicity and media hits from it. You just have to know how to use it, and that's why I created a video that's going to come out in about 3 weeks. Source Bottle, similar. ProfNet is another one. ProfNet, it's a little better because you have to pay like $100 a month to be a part of it. So most people using it, they're not, being scammy. They're legit because you have to pay to use it. Okay, so we got timeliness. We got the right angle. We have a lot of different angles that we're using. I've answered some of your questions already. Let me know if you have any more questions before I go to the last and final one, which Shelly, you kind of touched on a little bit. And remember, I shared a link in there for you to enter my giveaway to get in my online course where I go like just deeper into a lot of what we've talked about and a whole lot more. And then I also shared a link to my 3-day media class where you can get a pitch that I've been talking about. Okay, so the last thing, how many sources should you pitch? The link didn't work for you. What link didn't work for you? Tell me, which one? The link to get in on the raffle or the link to the free 3-day course? The raffle copter link didn't work for you? What? Here, let me try again. It should work for you because I'm copying and pasting it right from there. Yeah, I'm going to use Rafflecopter live in just a few minutes, guys. We're almost done. Okay, I put the Rafflecopter link in there again. Okay, oh, it worked for Shelly. Try again. Try again if it didn't work for you. Okay, how many sources should you pitch? Okay, Peggy, don't pitch 500 people at once with the same thing. Like that was such a mistake that everybody made. Like I would literally get this. I knew I was one of 500 people getting the exact same email at the exact same time. You want your pitches to be personalized. Like I want to hear, hey, Christina, I listened to you on SPI. Love this. I'd love to be a guest on your podcast. I think I'm a good fit for this reason. Like I know I'm the only one getting that pitch. It makes such a difference. So don't think of it. I mean, obviously the more people you pitch, the better it is. But you want to make these pitches personal. You want to build relationships with people. So you obviously can't do a ton of people at once. I kind of have like a system where you block off time and you do certain things on certain days because it's so much more time efficient. So it's really who you pitch and not how you pitch them. And should you pitch more than one person at the same outlet? That's a great question. I do, because you never know who is, honestly, who's still there. I mean, I know I was still getting emails long after, I still get emails long after I left NBC. And then you don't know if somebody's on vacation, or one person may like the idea and then another person may not. So I wouldn't pitch them all at the same time, but I usually pitch like the general newsroom email, and then I'll pitch the individual reporters because all of the reporters need to go to a morning meeting, at least at every TV station I did. We went into a morning meeting and then we discussed our story ideas, and we were always pitching ideas. So it was our responsibility to come up with story ideas. And then you had breaking news, and then you had the emails that went to the assignment desk. So you should definitely be pitching more than one person, just because different people are going to think this is a good story or this is a bad story. You know, it's very subjective. So I suggest pitching more than one person at the same outlet. Okay. Third, finally, lastly, and then we'll get to the giveaway, is follow up. I already told you how I got on Smart Passive Income, and it was because I followed up. There are hundreds of emails in an inbox a day. So you need to keep following up. I mean, honestly, I can honestly tell you that I have done stories just because I wanted people to stop emailing me. Like, okay, fine, I'll get to it. People are just overwhelmed. And I'll even send an email, you know, like after I'll use Boomerang. There's a Boomerang extension in Chrome, and I always set it to come back to me after a week, and I'll follow up once a week for a month. And then after a month, it's safe to say that your pitch is not very timely, because after a month, it should kind of, you know, expire unless it's a big issue that people are still talking about. And then if that's the case, you just want to kind of switch the angle a little bit. But I follow up once a week to answer your question, Peggy. And no, like you're going to feel like you're a pain in the butt and you're annoying, but trust me, you're not. Like you're just trying to be seen, because it's very hard to be seen, because it's very competitive to earn coverage. Everybody wants free publicity. And trust me, you're not annoying. There are people who will literally call journalists every single day to follow up. I don't suggest that. The only time I ever call is if it's breaking news. Georgette, I follow up once a week. And I do that 4 times. And after 4 times, I'll switch the angle or I'll switch the pitch, whatever it is. Sometimes I'll even say, like on the 4th time, I'll say, are you interested in this? Yes or no? And if they tell me no, great, tell me why. Like, what can I do? Sometimes in the pitch, I'll say, let me know if there's anything I can do on my end to increase chances of coverage. And in the pitch, as you'll see in my 3-day media class, In the pitch, I will tell them, like, I will literally give them everything they need on a silver platter. Like, I am going to make your job easy for you. And you want to let them know that every time you follow up, because the truth of the matter is most people don't follow up. They put a bunch of stuff out there and they just cross their fingers and they hope it works. So when you follow up, you're already increasing your chances of coverage. And I think between 60 and 70% of what I get my clients and what I get myself is on the follow-up. So you have to follow up. My content calendar is timely for my niche. Is it okay to send a new pitch every week with the new content for my content calendar? I would like to become the local, frugal, whole food, regular expert. I love that. I love that niche. And not just local. You could do that nationally too. I like that you have a new thing every week, but how timely is it? Because to pitch something new every week that really doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to follow up, I would try to find something that's timely to the month and follow up every month. And then again, if there's like a breaking news situation, then something like that could help. An example for you, Shelly, would be to find somebody who is affected. Thank you, Vicky. You're so sweet. Find somebody who is affected by the government shutdown. I mean, I know it's not shut down anymore, but it's only temporary. So it could be shut down in a few weeks. How do you eat during a government shutdown? Or how are you preparing right now because it's only open temporarily? I mean, you could really pitch that. Find somebody who's a government employee. Maybe they're changing the way they're buying food and they're changing the way they're eating. And if you can provide the media with that person, in addition to your expertise, you've done the journalist job, and that's a great story. And that's something you do locally, and it could get picked up nationally. So that's just an idea. Yeah, weekly is intense, Shelly. I would come up with a story a month so you have time to follow up. The only time you really want to do something every week is if there's like insane breaking news in your industry every week. And Vicky, I hope you've been listening to all my real estate examples. Eli's here in real estate, so they're relative to you too. Peggy's asking, is it okay if you don't hear back after you pitch one idea but it doesn't work, pitch again for a future idea? Most of the time, you're not going to hear back. We get hundreds of emails a day. We cannot, if we responded to everybody to say yes or no, we wouldn't have time to do any stories. Honestly, most of the time, you're not going to hear back. So when you do get a no, like that's a good thing because you can ask why it's a no or what else you can do to like increase chances of coverage. So it's actually good to get a no, and keep on pitching. I mean, this is one of those things, right? Like there was a guy who did a TEDx talk. He was either on Good Morning America or Today a couple of days ago. And he was talking about like how he set out to get like 100 rejections. And he was asking like security guards for money. He went into McDonald's and he asked like for a burger refill. Like he was just trying to get no's. And then somebody one time said yes to him. I think he went into a Krispy Kreme and he like asked them to get their donuts like in some kind of configuration where it was like the Olympic rings or something. I don't know, but he would ask ridiculous things and he got somebody to say yes. And that's what it is. Like keep on pitching, hashtag keep on pitching, Peggy, because people will say yes. It's very competitive. But if you use the right strategies and you just give the media what they want when they want it, like that's key. Everybody pitches the media to promote themselves. It is not the media's job to promote you and give you a free commercial. They have their job. Just help them do their job. That's really it. Okay, last chance for questions. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to get everything ready right now to do my little rafflecopter work its magic, and then I'll pull the winner. So make sure you enter. Oh, thank you, Shelly. Did you guys learn anything? I hope so. Let me know what your questions are. And like ask specifically to your niche. How do you leverage earned media to grow social media? Oh, okay. That's like a whole other live training. But I will say you have to share it. Like the biggest mistake people make when they earn media is they assume everybody sees it. Like, oh, I was in Inc. Now everybody's going to come to me. No, honey, Inc. posts like 400 things a day. You need to take that media and share it on your social. Tag the journalist, tag the outlet over and over and over again. Put it on your website, build a press page, put the logos in the footer on your website. Like constantly be sharing that you were featured in the media because potential customers see that. That makes you more attractive. other media sees that makes you more attractive. That's where you're going to see the ROI, is turning that earned media into your own media and telling everybody about it over and over and over again. Yes, Peggy, this is recorded. This will go live on my channel. I'm going to title this How to Write a Press Release, because I'm basically telling you how to write a press release in a non-press release format, but everybody searches how to write a press release because for some reason we're still stuck in the 1970s when it comes to earning media. So I'm going to try to modern that up a bit. Hey, Lynn, about to produce a heartfelt story for Random Acts of Kindness Week. Was planning to publish it on social media, hoping it will go viral, or should I send this video to the media? You should do both. You should do both. Okay, awesome. Georgette, get in that free 3-day media class because that'll help you. I'm not selling y'all anything here today. How much do I use Google Trends for ideas? I really don't, just because I mean, you could use Google Trends for ideas. It helps with the timeliness angle. But I kind of already know what the trends are. You know, I mean, like if you're just not privy to the news cycle and what's happening, you can get on Google Trends. But if it's related to your industry, you just already know what it is. So you don't really need to use Google Trends. Eli, what are my thoughts on radio? Okay. Radio is something, I mean, if your audience is there, do it. I love NPR for experts, especially people who have books, because people who listen to NPR are people who like learning. So they're more likely to buy books. So it depends on what your audience is listening to. If your audience is listening to radio, then definitely do radio and do those talk show radios. If you've been listening, that's good, because then when you do pitch, you can tell them you've been listening and you can say something that proves you're a regular listener and you're not sending that out to 500 people at once, you know? So like when people send me a message and they, you know, comment that I'm from Ohio State, I'm like, oh my gosh, they actually do know me. They're not like pitching this to me and a million other people. They actually do listen to my content and like me. So that makes a big difference. So the fact that you're already listening to those radio stations, I think that's good. Guests on a podcast. Peggy, for me, podcasts are my #1 lead generator. And I mean like quality lead generator. So for me, podcasts are great. For you, since you're in the food atmosphere, I think Pinterest is going to be huge for you. Pinterest is the #1 site for recipes, and Pinterest is different. I mean, I know this isn't like earned media. I'm kind of going off on a tangent because I just recorded a podcast episode with Sarah Morgan, who's like a Pinterest expert. But Pinterest is something, it's unlike any other form of social media where one, it's like a search engine, but it has like these spider webs. Like you post something and then I'll pin it and then all my followers see that pin. And then one of those followers pins it and then all their followers see it. So I think like for Pinterest, for what you do for food, like I think that's super important. Yeah. And Eli said, hit up Lindsay because she's the other foodie in our little YouTube group. But what else? Guests on podcasts. Yeah. I mean, just who's your audience? What are they listening to? I'm not a foodie, so I don't know if there's podcasts about cooking or food, but if there are, those are your people. And you should definitely be there because again, just like NPR for authors, I feel like people who listen to podcasts are more likely to spend money because they're not listening to music. They're listening to podcasts. So they're like mentally invested, or else they'd be listening to something else. So they're more likely to go to your channel and learn from you, or go to your website and buy from you if you're selling something, for example. Okay, suggestions on the music industry. Okay, the music industry, that's not really a niche that I'm an expert in, but the strategies are still pretty much the same. Like get your stuff out there, try to get into outlets that, like whatever your goal is, like, do you want to land a record deal? Do you want more people to hear you? Whatever it is, like, what are they reading? What are they listening to? Pitch them. You always, want to have your goal in mind. If it's to get people in a local brick and mortar, then you're going to be focused on local media. If it's online, then podcasts are great because it's a more national platform. A realtor passionate about working with the elderly. Oh, I suggest AARP. Right? I think that's it. AARP. I think it's like the biggest. I think that website has like more visits to it than like most websites. They have a blog. Totally be all over AARP. And where are your elderly? What are they watching? What are they listening to? Are they the ones making the decisions, or is it their mom or their kids, the baby boomers, making the decisions? Suggestions on novel series. I don't know what novel series means, so let me know. Both pitch them okay in podcasts. Eli. So many realtors. I know. I love it. But it's so good because there's so much real estate news all the time. Like to earn media in real estate, like talking about Harrow, there's always multiple real estate questions on Harrow. Just be mindful of who's posting them. And like, you don't want to waste your time on, outlets that's like, it's your neighbor's cousin in his basement with a blog. But you guys should definitely be contributing to Inman and sharing what you're contributing everywhere to set yourself up as an expert. Georgia, how do you find the podcast specifically to your niche? Okay, well, iTunes is like super good at, here, can we do like a show and tell y'all? Can you see? Okay, so if you go to search, like whatever your niche is, like George, what would it be? I don't know, agricultural? Hold on. Like search, like, okay, there's agricultural today. And then there should be, so there's episodes here on agricultural today, but if you go, you can see all, and there's so many different podcasts here. And then if you actually go like on a desktop and you do this on Apple Podcasts website, there's a tab that says like search related podcasts. So you can see all the related podcasts to that one, and that'll give you like a plethora. And you should listen to them when you're pitching them too, because you don't want to pitch blindly. Like you want to know a little bit about who you're pitching. Okay, what else? Suggestions for drug recovery coaching. Okay, that unfortunately is always very timely because unfortunately people are still, I'm sorry guys, I keep kicking you. People are still doing drugs and lots of celebrities are still overdosing. I mean, that's a perfect opportunity for you to showcase your expertise. I remember when I was at NBC a few years ago when Corey Monteith from Glee overdosed. I don't know how we got this guy. I don't know if he contacted the station or if the station did a Google search and he came up high in search or what it was. But I interviewed a guy about addiction recovery and how heroin was making a comeback and this and that. So that is all about your expertise and how to help people with recovery. And for that, I think the big thing is going to be jumping on news that's already happening because there's lots of news in that industry. 1 billion realtors. Eli, you're funny. Okay, you have a music channel. You need good video footage and don't have it now. Oh, you should buy stock video footage. I mean, if you don't shoot it yourself, you can buy stock. I always think you should shoot it yourself. Target audience for addicted professionals. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly for that, I feel like that's something that's very Googleable, like people search it. I'm making up words. So I think like SEO focused blogging is going to be big for you too. And constantly just creating great content and putting it out there and then contributing to outlets. A lot of wherever your audience is. I think podcasts may be good, and then online outlets that are reaching that specific person. What is stock video? Okay, stock, it's just like videos that you can buy and you have the rights to it. Like stock pictures. That's it. Yeah, there you go. Like Pexel, what Eli just shared, that's for pictures, for still pictures, but you can actually get video. Same thing. Equestrian. What's the question, Georgette? There's tons of outlets. I mean, I know in Wellington, like they have like magazines and so many outlets that are specific to your industry. I think you have a lot of potential because you're so niche. Like you could dominate that because it is so niche. Look at podcasts. I'm sure there's a few podcasts. Start listening to those. And then look at the outlets locally and nationally because it's so niche. I think you could do very well in that. Okay, you guys. Is everybody entered to win my free course? Let's go. Type some questions while I do this. I have to actually end the giveaway now. I have to say that it is ending right now so I can pull the winner. And keep posting your questions in the meantime while I do this. and I'm gonna pick a winner. Okay, I just picked a winner. I don't know if she's on though. I don't know if she's on this YouTube live. Okay, any questions before I say? Okay, yes, thank you for the drum roll. Okay, so the winner is somebody by the name of Valeria Williamson at shotofyoga.com. She has won the free course, my media mentoring program. Thank you all so much for joining me. We are literally coming up like on an hour in 2 seconds. We will be exactly an hour. If you didn't win the course, don't worry. I have that free course. You just go to mediamavenandmore.com/publicity, and you can get some exact pitches. You can get a more organized version of what I did here. I was kind of, going back and forth with the comments, no slides, no pictures, nothing. So if you go to mediamavenandmore.com/publicity, you can get a more organized training, less off the cuff. But thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for all of your questions, for coming and for all of your questions, and for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Every Thursday, I kind of dig deeper on a lot of what we talked about. Like I said, I have a Harrow episode coming up soon. Today was, what was today? Oh, today was specific to restaurants and food. So those of you who are cookers and bakers, you might like that one. Good. I'm glad y'all liked it. Thank you for joining me. And I'm going to send Valeria. I think it's Valeria. I think I'm going to send her an email and let her know she got access to my online course. Thank you guys very much. I will see you out and about and around YouTube.